First off, all praises due. You got to give Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers a lot of credit. Damian had 34 in the first half. Yeah, ended the game with 50, of course, with that big bomb that we all saw last night from the damn M from the Motor Center, from the logo, essentially, ending the game. Man, Dame was on point. They needed all 50 points because CJ McCollum had 3 fouls, and nobody had more than 6 points in the first half. Other than Dame was essentially carried the team. You guys got to remember they went down a number of times in the game. Man, Dame, he kept the course, he kept the cool head. He had 10 threes. 4 of those threes should have been 4-point plays. He was getting hit, side-swiped on every one of those threes. And the referees were not calling it. I don't know if they were on a heavy mandate. We need to extend this series or whatever the case is. But they were not calling fouls for Damian Lillard. And Damian did not cry to the referee, which I'm extremely proud of him for. And after he hit that big shot, he just looked into the camera like he playing this whole thing all along. You know, we're going to go down 15 points in the fourth quarter, make a comeback. CJ McCollum's going to hit a couple shots. I'm going to hit the dagger. I'm going to get the green bean, the green light, a la NBA 2K19 under your feet when you shoot and you get a green light from damn near half court and end the game. That is one of the most iconic shots in his career, but in NBA playoff history, period. I don't care if it's the first round or not. Just the fact that they don't win the game. All right, there's game 5, but it has to go back in OKC. OKC could probably win that game. OKC would have had confidence to say, hey, we won game 5 in Portland. We're going back home. We're coming back to Portland for game 7. So that eliminated all the confidence. Then on top of that, for Dame to have the presence of mind, the unmitigated gall to wave bye-bye, like that shot is going to be iconic. And during the press conference, Paul George was saying it was a bad shot. If you look at it, it wasn't a bad shot for Damian Lillard. Plus, Dame has started the game hitting shots like that from the logo. He's in the series, I think he's hit 6 for 8 from the logo. So he's shooting over 50% from the logo, or damn near the logo. So that being said, that's a great shot for him. Another reason why the shot was a great shot, it wasn't a heave. Dame looked at the clock. He brought the clock down, and it was under control. Another thing you got to factor in is if he doesn't make the shot, they go into overtime. So all those factors made it a good shot. So Paul George saying that it wasn't a good shot, essentially it's just him hating. It would be not a good shot if Dame was missing a whole bunch of them and he just made this one by accident. Like if he went 1 for 8 from that area and that was the only one he made, I could understand Paul George's reasoning. But this was a good shot, point blank period. Now that we all giving Dame the credit, and now all of a sudden, hey, he's one of the best players in the game. Dame has always been one of the best players in the game. It's just the fact that he plays on a small market, which a lot of people champion. Oh, you know, we want guys to stay in a small market. He's only one of the few guys that does stay in a small market, doesn't want to leave. And essentially, he never really got the credit that he deserved. Now, he also has taken his reputation has taken a hit because he's been knocked out of the first round a bunch of times. He even got swept back-to-back years. So that being said, that's why people didn't look at him in that way, because he got swept 2 times. I mean, so it's fair. But I don't think that people look at Dame and, like, honestly, pure basketball fans don't look at Damian Lillard and say, I'm just a fan of him now. No, you've been a fan of him, especially when he was sending Houston home on shots the similar way. Kevin McHale had to say the same thing. He said, I know it hurts. The same thing happened to me. So Dame is not like anything new or anything like that. Him getting out the first round, though, and succeeding, that's new. And I think that's where everybody's like getting emotional about it. Now that that's done with, I'm so happy for Dame and the Portland Trail Blazers. It's going to be an interesting series. Whoever comes out of the Spurs and the Nuggets. Look, Russell Westbrook, hey, what did Dave Chappelle say in Nutty Professor? It's time for Reggie to lay it to your mama. Now, I'm not going to lay it to anybody's mama. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to lay it to Russell Westbrook. Russ created this. First of all, with all that rocking the baby stuff, in Damian Lillard's press conference, he said that Russ is the kind of guy to beat his chest every time he scores on you and talk a lot of smack. I was just going to make sure that I end the series, you know, I score and end the series how I want it to end. You know, everything in his press conference was essentially a subliminal shot at Russell Westbrook. Or Schroeder. Schroeder's doing the Dame time thing. They thought it was funny or whatever the case is. He created that monster. Even when he's talking about the shot, he said that his shooting coach said, "Hey, let's practice a couple of these. I know you're gonna make one of these for sure, for sure." Lillard was practicing, and he premeditated this entire moment or the entire series, dating back to all that smack talk Russ was talking to him. Russ created this. He took the one-on-one matchup too seriously. He allowed the arrogance and the accolades of the triple-double blind the aspect of a team game. Even in the loss, I believe he had a triple-double. He let all of these numbers and stat pattern blind the team concept. 113 to 111 down the stretch of the game. 113 to 111. OKC's up. Russ is like 7 for 18. Paul George was like 13 for 19. What is Russell Westbrook doing down the stretch, calling his own number instead of giving it to the hot hand? Paul George was shooting over 60% that game, and he didn't get to touch the ball till later down the stretch. I'm going to talk about Paul George as well, because he deserves some blame too. But Russ has some key mistakes. Driving on Aminu 113 to 111 and burping up a bad shot. This is a horrible shot. Then, on top of that, there was a play where they were up, like, I think it was 113 to 109. Russ drives at the basket, misses the shot, or whatever the case is. He fouls Harkless. When I texted my friends, you know, I was like, you know, Russ fouled harmless. Russ fouled Harkless, which you could call him harmless at times because he can't hit a shot sometimes. Send him to the line. He has 2 free throws. Now it's 113, 111. Russ has some turnovers down the stretch, but it's just like with a 15-point lead in the fourth, you should be able to slow the game down and wind the clock down, keep winding the clock, winding the clock, winding the clock. They had a 10-point lead with like 3 minutes left in the game. That game should be over. You should be able to wind the clock down, get it to George, get on the block, score, whatever the case is. That goes back to Paul. Now we're talking about Paul George now. It's time for me to lay it to you, Paul George. Paul George had a turnover, which was very costly. And while I'm talking about Russell Westbrook calling his own number 113 to 111, Paul George should have clapped at that man and said, "Give me the ball." That was his moment to say, "Give me the ball." That was his moment to have that Gatorade commercial and hit a huge shot. He was hitting all huge shots the whole night. Why not this moment? And that's why I don't think Paul George went to LA. He didn't want that heat. He didn't want that smoke. All through the game, Paul George hitting clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. Down the stretch, he didn't demand the ball or nothing. And he's turning over the ball. So it's like, I guess Russ might have rubbed off on him. But we also have to look at the fact that Paul George, he's a star, but he's a timid star. So that wouldn't have worked with LeBron. I think he already knew that would not work with LeBron. But essentially what this boils down to is Russ has to get more cerebral with his game, because you cannot have a 15-point lead in the fourth. Everybody was scoring. Schroeder was scoring. Adams was scoring. Grant was scoring. Everybody was scoring. All of a sudden, you start making all these mistakes to let the team right back in the game. Any other point guard, including Lillard himself, would have slowed that clock down, either get to the line or just slow the game down. You don't have to play at 100 miles an hour all the time. And I don't think it's really 100 miles an hour that's bothering Russ. I think it's just decision-making. Because some people play fast and they make good decisions. Like Curry plays fast and makes good decisions. See what I'm saying? Kyrie Irving can play fast at times and make good decisions. But most of the time, Kyrie Irving plays at a steadier pace. Man, this game was a statement game for the Blazers. And it was a statement game for the OKC Thunder and Russell Westbrook going forward. going forward, I mean, I don't even think you can slide him at the 2. I think Russ will have too much pride to play the 2. And I think he has too much pride to try to improve the jumper. Every year, you got to improve yourself. Even look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry is one of the best shooters ever. He's still trying to improve his jump shot. He's still working with his trainer to increase the speed of his jump shot. That's what I'm talking about. Russ hasn't improved as a point guard in terms of decision-making. In terms of getting stats, he's improved. But Russ, he needs to improve on that decision-making, time and score. If they knew time and score, they'll be playing Game 6 in OKC. But for some reason, it eluded him. And I'm not even going to just blame him at 100%. Billy Donovan deserves some blame too. Any other coach would be like, slow it down. Let's call a play. You could tell down the stretch, they didn't even call plays. They didn't call any plays. So, you know, the reason I'm on Russ like this is because I know he can be great. I know he could win a title. I know he could do all that stuff. But some of that stuff starts with studying. You all remember when he said he didn't watch film. This shows he didn't watch film. 15-point lead, 10-point lead, 3 minutes left in the game. You got to slow it down. You got to get easier shots, and this guy got to defend better. And that starts with the head, which is Russell Westbrook. Paul George, you're culpable. If this loss was, let's say, hanging on somebody, I would say 55% Russ, 45% Paul George, because Paul George was hot all night. But down the stretch of the game, he didn't want it, and he collapsed. You guys can say what you want. Man turn over the ball, and he doesn't scream for the ball. You know, shoot, I would say call timeout or whatever the case is. So we all could go there, but Dame gets a lot of the credit. He was crazy with it, sick with the flow in terms of shooting the ball, attacking the basket, being composed. I mean, they were down 15 points in the 4th quarter, and they came back to win the game. Tells you a lot about the Portland Trail Blazers. Hoops Junction, where hoops meets hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.